tax season time again. It never is dull, and this year is no exception. In fact, this year, something rather unusual happened. Now, this only pertains to partnership and S-Corp returns. So for most people listening to this, if you have an LLC with more than one member, or if you know you have an S-Corp, this may pertain to you. And what it is it is a new tax filing requirement that is new for 2021 tax returns. And it's called a Schedule K2 and a Schedule K3. Now, what these schedules are, and the reason that they even came up with these, is last summer, back in June, Congress mandated that the IRS better tracks international funds. They were looking for international money laundering. So the IRS had to figure out how to give Congress the information that it wanted, and it came up with Schedule K2 and Schedule K3. Now, when these schedules came out last year, they came out as a draft form, and the anticipation was that only businesses that had foreign activity, that sold to foreign countries, that regularly dealt in foreign activity, would have to deal with these forms. So for most people watching this video, from what came out in the draft last summer, we really weren't too worried because you were not supposed to be affected by this. Now we're going to go forward a little bit. January 18th of this year, the IRS released the final version of the Schedule 2 and Schedule 3 forms along with the instructions. And the instructions did say that if any partnership or S-corporation had any foreign activity, we would have to file these extra forms, Schedule K2 and Schedule K3. However, it also said, which we were not expecting, that if any of the partners, members, or shareholders that are owners of those entities have any foreign activities, we would still need to fill out the Schedules K2 and K3. Well, that creates an interesting problem, because if you have a business and you have multiple partners, we now have to find out if any one of those partners has any type of foreign activity. Now, when I say foreign activity, the most common thing that you're going to look for is on your personal tax return. There's something called a Form 1116. And if we already do your taxes, we know if you have this form or not. And if you do, we'll let you know and we'll speak to you about it. Most of our clients do not have this form. But the purpose of this form is that if you have overseas investments, maybe you have mutual funds that own some overseas stock, you may have to fill out this form to get a small credit for taxes paid to other countries. If you have this form, you now have foreign activity, which now brings us back to having to file all these extra complicated forms for your business tax return. So what is in these forms? Well, the Schedule K2, it's a very complex, it's a 19-page form that would require extensive time and energy to fill out. And it gives your foreign information to Congress, so Congress is able to understand what businesses have foreign activities and to try to figure out who is doing money laundering activities. The second form, Schedule K3, is a 20-page form, and it's equally confusing to fill out. And that goes to each of the individual partners, members, shareholders for them to do their tax returns with. Now, the other part of this is if we're supposed to fill out these forms, we note substantial penalties could exist. If you have let's say a 4-member LLC and you just say, I'm not going to deal with it, the penalties could range anywhere from $2,200 to $4,500 or more per year for not filling out these forms if they're required. So obviously, the IRS and Congress are making us fill out these very long, complicated forms. So the question is, do any of the partners have foreign activity? How am I supposed to know that? How are you possibly supposed to know that? We don't always know what the other partners, members, shareholders do in their personal lives. The presumption is, unless we know otherwise, that we have to assume that they do have foreign activity, and we have to file these extra complicated schedules. The workaround is if we know that they don't, and we know that the business doesn't have foreign activity, and the partners, members, shareholders don't have foreign activity, we don't have to file this, which is a very good thing, because if we do have to file it, it's going to take a lot of time, effort, and substantially increase the price of your tax return. So how do we know this? I am going to be sending each of you a form, which each owner of your entity has to fill out, either the partner, the shareholder, or the member. And on that, they are going to basically fill in their information, and they are going to state that they do not have foreign activity, and also that they do not expect to file a Form 1116, which is a foreign tax form that you file with your personal tax return. So I encourage all the members, shareholders, partners to look at their last year's tax return. See if the Form 1116 is included in it. If it was not included in it, and you don't expect to have one this year, then everyone could sign this. As long as I get letters back from everyone, we do not have to file these extra forms, and I can file your tax return as I normally do. Now, if we do not get this signed back from everyone, we will likely have to extend your tax returns, and the costs are likely going to significantly go up. And the reason is twofold. First of all, these are new forms, so the IRS is not capable of accepting electronic filing of tax returns yet that need these new forms, and they likely won't be ready till later in the year, late March for some and early summer for others. So realistically, we cannot expect to e-file this problem before sometime in the summer. Also, we have to go through the complications of doing the returns, which, as I mentioned before, is quite a bit more complex. And besides that, these rules, because they're so new and they just came out, are regularly changing. Today is February 16th. As of February 15th last night, the IRS already released some new information that they may be amending the number of entities that have to file the forms because they realize all the confusion and chaos that these forms are creating for this tax year. So again, what I need you to do is we're going to email you these forms. If we already do your tax return and do your partner's tax return, it's going to be in a DocuSign. Please sign it, just stating to the fact that you don't have a foreign filing requirement. If you have any questions about that, reach out to me. I'll be happy to speak to you about it. If you have any partners of your firm, members, shareholders, etc., that we do not do their personal tax returns for, please shoot me their email addresses because I have to send this to them as well to sign. As long as everyone in your firm signs it and I get it back, taxes will continue as normal, and if not, we'll be talking and figuring out how to best file your tax returns this year. Hope everyone stays safe and does well, and I'll speak to you soon.